In 1997, the US Navy was listening to the ocean. They weren't looking for anything in particular, they just had these hydrophones set up across the Pacific, leftovers from the Cold War, originally designed to track Soviet submarines. And then, one afternoon, they picked up a sound. It was loud. I mean, really loud. So loud that separate listening stations more than 3,000 kilometers apart both caught it clearly, and its acoustic range was estimated at over 5,000 kilometers. Louder than a blue whale. Louder than any animal we know exists. And nobody, not then, not now, not a single marine biologist on Earth, can tell you for certain what made it. Today we're talking about 10 things in the ocean that, according to actual science, shouldn't exist. Not shouldn't exist like internet clickbait. Shouldn't exist like we don't have a clean explanation for them, and in some cases, they break the rules we thought applied to life on this planet. Number 10. The immortal jellyfish. Let's start somewhere easy. Relatively easy. This is Turritopsis dohrnii. It's a jellyfish about the size of your fingernail, and it is, as far as we can tell, biologically immortal. And I don't mean lives a really long time. I mean, when this thing gets old, or injured, or stressed, it just reverses. Its cells transdifferentiate, which is a fancy way of saying they turn back into younger versions of themselves, and it returns to its polyp stage. A baby. Then it grows up again. Then it does it again. Forever. There's no known limit to how many times it can pull this off. Now, before you start Googling immortal jellyfish smoothie, it can still be eaten by predators, and most of them are. But in theory, if nothing ate it, it could just keep existing, indefinitely. Cancer researchers are, understandably, very interested in this little guy. Number 9. Unexplained deep sea sounds. Remember the bloop from the cold open? Yeah, it's not alone. Since the 90s, those same Navy hydrophones, and now NOAA's equipment, have picked up a whole catalog of weird sounds from the deep Pacific. They've given them names: upsweep, Julia, slow down, whistle, train. Some of these have been explained since. The bloop itself, NOAA formally reclassified in 2012 as an icequake, a massive piece of Antarctic ice cracking. That's the consensus answer now, but note the word cracking is doing a lot of work there. We still haven't heard another one quite like it. But others, like upsweep, have been recorded on and off for over 30 years and still don't have a confirmed source. The going theory is volcanic. Could be. Nobody's been down to check, which brings up a fun fact I'll keep repeating in this video. We have better maps of the surface of Mars than we do of our own ocean floor. Number 8. Life at the hydrothermal vents. Okay, quick science lesson. For about 100 years, biology textbooks had a pretty firm rule. Life on Earth needs sunlight. Not directly, maybe, but somewhere down the food chain. Everything we knew about traced back to a plant doing photosynthesis. Then, in 1977, we sent a submersible down to the Galapagos Rift, 2.5 kilometers deep, pitch black, and we found a garden. Around these volcanic chimneys, some spewing water at over 400 degrees Celsius, there were tube worms 2 meters long, giant clams, crabs. Entire ecosystems built on bacteria that feed on hydrogen sulfide instead of sunlight. It's called chemosynthesis. And it shouldn't have been possible. The textbooks had to be rewritten. The implication, by the way, is kind of enormous. If life can thrive in boiling, toxic, lightless water on Earth, then every moon with a subsurface ocean in our solar system, Europa, Enceladus, Titan, just became a lot more interesting. Number 7. Deep sea gigantism. Here's something nobody fully understands. The deeper you go, the bigger things get. On the surface, an isopod is a little crustacean about the size of a coin. You've probably seen one under a rock. Go down a kilometer, and you'll find its cousin, the giant isopod. It's the size of a football. Squid follow the same rule. On the surface, a few feet. In the deep, you get the colossal squid, 14 meters long, eyes the size of dinner plates, the largest eyes on any animal that has ever lived, including the dinosaurs. There are theories for why this happens. Colder water means slower metabolism, means longer life, means more growth. Less food means you need to conserve energy, and being bigger helps. Higher pressure affects cell structure in ways we're still figuring out. But here's the thing. None of those theories, on their own, fully explain it. And the deep ocean is so vast and so unexplored that we genuinely don't know how big things might get down there. Hold that thought. We're coming back to it. Number 6. Brinnacles, the finger of death. This one you kind of have to see. Under the polar ice caps, when sea ice forms, it squeezes out the salt. That super salty water is denser than regular seawater and way colder, below normal freezing, so it sinks in a column, straight down. And as it sinks through regular seawater, it freezes it instantly. The result is a hollow tube of ice, growing downward from the underside of the polar ice, like an upside-down icicle. They call it a Brinnacles. When it hits the seafloor, it spreads out. Everything it touches, starfish, sea urchins, anything too slow to run, freezes solid, dies on contact. The nickname divers gave it, I'm not kidding, is the finger of death. Shouldn't exist, does. Go Google Brinnacles time-lapse after this video. It's unreal. Number 5. The Mariana snailfish. Next up, a fish that, by every rule of biology, should be liquefied. The Mariana snailfish lives at around 8,000 meters down, in the deepest trench on Earth. The pressure down there is about 800 atmospheres. Marine biologists describe it as the weight of an elephant pressing on your thumb, everywhere on your body at once. If we sent a human down there without a pressure vessel, you would, and I want to be careful how I phrase this, you would cease being human-shaped very quickly. The snailfish just swims around, eats, has a nice time. Its secret is a molecule called TMAO that stabilizes its proteins under pressure, but the weirder part is its skeleton. At those depths, bone should basically dissolve or deform. So the snailfish's bones are partially made of cartilage, and the parts that are bone are incomplete. Its skull is open at the top. Its body is more like a gel than a fish. It is essentially a fish that has given up on being a fish in exchange for surviving somewhere nothing else can. Number 4. Milky seas. Sailors have been reporting this one for 300 years. Most scientists thought they were making it up. They call it the Milky Sea. The idea is, you're on a ship at night, in the middle of nowhere, and suddenly the entire ocean starts glowing. Not sparkles, not patches, the whole thing, horizon to horizon. A soft white light, like sailing across a field of snow. For centuries, this was dismissed as myth. Until 2005, when a scientist went back through satellite data and actually found one. A glow covering 15,000 square kilometers of the Indian Ocean, visible from space, that had lasted for 3 straight nights. Since then, we've confirmed them. We still don't fully understand what causes them. Best guess, trillions of bioluminescent bacteria all flashing at once for reasons that are still debated. But trillions of single-celled organisms spontaneously decide to glow in sync over an area the size of Connecticut is not really a satisfying answer. The sailors were right. We just didn't listen for 300 years. Number 3. Underwater lakes and rivers. All right, this one genuinely bends my brain. At the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico, and a few other places, there are lakes, inside the ocean. Not metaphorically, literally. Pools of water so dense with salt and methane that they don't mix with the seawater above them. They pool. They have shores. They have waves. If you were a diver standing next to one, you could skip a rock across the surface. These are called brine pools, and they are absolutely lethal. The salinity is something like 5 times normal seawater. Any fish that wanders in dies instantly. You can see their bodies ringing the edges like a crime scene perimeter. The locals call one of the biggest ones the jacuzzi of despair. That is the real, official, scientific nickname. I did not make that up. A lake inside the ocean that kills everything that enters it. And if you're wondering how deep we're talking, 1 kilometer down, in water, inside water. Number 2, the 52 Hz whale. We need to slow down for a second. Most whale species sing at a specific frequency. Blue whales sing around 10 to 30 Hz. Fin whales around 20. These songs travel thousands of kilometers underwater. It's how they find each other. In 1989, the Navy picked up a whale song at 52 Hz. That's a problem, because no known whale species sings at 52 Hz. It's too high for blue whales to hear. It's too low for most other cetaceans to respond to. William Watkins at Woods Hole tracked this call from 1989 through the early 2000s. Same voice, same frequency. Migrating across the Pacific on a path that didn't match any known species. Calling out to a species that either didn't exist or couldn't hear it. Scientists don't know what it is. Could be a hybrid between 2 whale species, blue and fin, which would explain the off-frequency call. Could be a deformation. Could be the last of something we didn't know was there. They call it the loneliest whale in the world. Now, here's the update most people miss. Since 2010, researchers have occasionally picked up a second 52 Hz-like signal, suggesting it may not be a single animal after all, maybe a small population, maybe hybrids, plural. Either way, alone might be the wrong word, but unknown still fits. We have decades of recordings of this voice, and we have never seen the animal making it, not once. And yeah, this one's less shouldn't exist, and more shouldn't be possible to not know about for this long. But I think it fits, because what it tells us is this: an animal the size of a school bus singing loud enough to be heard across an entire ocean was invisible to us for decades. We only caught it because the Navy happened to be listening for submarines. Which brings us to number one. Number one, the question that won't die. Okay, let's talk about Megalodon. I know, the second I say that word, a certain kind of viewer closes the tab and a certain kind of viewer leans in. I'm going to try to do something harder than either reaction. I'm going to tell you what's actually going on with this question. Megalodon was real. That part isn't up for debate. It was a shark the size of a small building, roughly 18 meters long with teeth the size of your hand. It ruled the oceans for about 20 million years, and according to the fossil record, went extinct about 3.5 million years ago. Mainstream science is essentially unanimous on that extinction. Cooling oceans, food web collapse, competition with ancestral great whites. It's gone. The fossils stop, the teeth stop. If it were still around, we'd find evidence. Dead ones washing up, fresh teeth, bite marks on whales. We don't. End of story. But the story, culturally, refuses to end. And I think it's worth asking why. Part of the reason is that the deep ocean is, quite honestly, a terrible place to look for things. We've directly explored something like 5% of it. The rest is mapped by sonar at resolutions that would miss a submarine, let alone a single animal. And the deep ocean keeps coughing up surprises. The coelacanth was considered extinct for 65 million years. We had fossils, we were sure, until a fisherman pulled a live one out of the water in 1938. The megamouth shark, a filter-feeding shark that grows up to 5.5 meters long, wasn't discovered by science until November 1976, when one got tangled in a U.S. Navy ship's anchor off Hawaii. 1976. We had sent people to the moon before we knew this shark existed. So when someone hears about an unexplained large sonar contact in the deep ocean, and yes, those occasionally happen, and their brain immediately goes, Megalodon, I get it. I really do. The instinct to fill an unknown with the most exciting possible answer is pretty human. Here's the thing, though. When scientists actually chase those contacts down, they almost always turn out to be something mundane. Sonar artifacts, tight schools of fish registering as one object, whale sharks, basking sharks. There is, right now, zero credible evidence of a surviving megalodon. Not a tooth younger than 3 million years, not a carcass, not a confirmed photograph, not a consistent sonar signature. Nothing. If one was still out there, we would almost certainly know by now. The honest answer, the one I think is more interesting than either Megalodon is alive or shut up, it's extinct, is this. The deep ocean is enormous. We've seen almost none of it, and it consistently hides things we thought couldn't possibly be there. Megalodon specifically? Almost certainly gone. Something else big and weird we haven't found yet? I'd put money on it. The ocean doesn't owe us an explanation. It just keeps existing, mostly in the dark, mostly unobserved. And every so often it sends up a sound or a creature or a light that reminds us we're tourists down there. That's 10. Well, 10 we know about. The thing I want you to sit with, if you made it this far, every single item on this list was a surprise. We are still, right now, in the discovery phase of our own planet. And if any of this made you question whether you actually know what's under the surface next time you're on a beach, good. That's the right response.